What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Fringe Toast. This is a fresh Fringe episode, which means we're doing it live. We're going to try to start doing this on a weekly basis. Matthew may be able to join us some of those times. Michael may be able to join us those times. We'll have guests pop in and out. But ultimately, the point of this is to go over the things of the week. Oh, Trixie, I
We,
seen
we
you.
have we have a guest.
I seen you, Trixie.
Hey Trixie. Hey girl. Yeah. Hey girl.
But first thing that Matt and I wanted to talk about was an experience that we had. Actually, a couple of experiences that we had in an outing that we had last weekend. We went to Marietta, undisclosed neighborhood. I really don't know the name of the neighborhood. We met
Don't
up.
either. I- no clue.
I just put the address in that Lee gave us, and we rode out. But we did get to meet some really cool people while we were there. Jennifer from Metaphysical Roundtable was there doing a 3 card spread. She went over some astrology with the people that live in the neighborhood. That was really awesome.
It's the so Chrissy's getting it. So long story short, I'm redecorating and redoing my entire studio. So it's completely torn apart. So I'm in my bedroom right now. So
Okay. Uh, all
that's
right.
that's the shower.
Right on. Right on. Okay. Well, today is Halloween. Forgot to mention that right off the top of the bat. Like happy Halloween, everybody who may be listening. Happy
The
Halloween to you, my friend.
the greatest holiday of them all.
I agree. I do agree. It's way up there. I don't. I'm not much of a costume kind of guy. But I love the spirit of doing that. Like,
So I'm just gonna we're just gonna put this out there right now for everybody. And once this goes out and out there for everybody, vote on this. Tell Bobby you want him to do this. My family and I are doing family costumes next year as Bob's Burgers. Bobby has to go as his friend.
are you
His
talking
name
about
is slipping me. Teddy. Teddy.
Teddy?
You have to go as Teddy.
Okay.
And that's we aren't even
You know
that's just
what?
the way it is.
I dress like Ted
Right? That's why it's perfect.
so the only thing I don't do beanies. Ted wears a beanie or what we call a toboggan down south. I understand that toboggan is actually is like a sled. It's called it's a sled over in up north with our northern friends. Is a toboggan is a sled. Down here, I don't know how that got changed around. I have no clue how that nomenclature got changed. But ultimately, I we wanted to tell you about briefly. We don't want to do any spoilers or anything like that about the evidence that we gathered and the experiences we had while we were in Marietta. Um, First things first, while Jennifer was doing the readings for the members of the neighborhood that showed up, you and I sat to the side, and okay, so the airspace in which we were facing was right over um, Lockheed Martin. So if you're not familiar with Lockheed Martin,
I didn't know that.
they are the ones that they worked in Project Skunk Works. They've developed a lot of aircraft that is used for our U.S. Air Force, and a lot of people believe that the technology that they're working on is some of it is of extraterrestrial origin, and that seemed very interesting. It seemed also very interesting that we were seeing this light show that popped up out of nowhere.
It
To
was creepy. I don't know what was going on. Well, no, not creepy. Creepy is the wrong word. It was interesting.
it was very bizarre because
Yeah,
to be real with you, it looked like fireworks, but there
yep.
was no explosion. Like
And It was like fireworks backwards to me is what it felt like, because they would light up and then they would just fall and it would just go away.
There was no explosions, and if it were fireworks, it was a cheaper brand of fireworks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like something on the lower end firework quality, but so you wouldn't have been able to see it from a long way away. So anything that could have produced it, I would have thought that we would have had to be close by. Like we would have heard a pop,
Yeah.
or, I don't know. But it wasn't like it was an extravagant firework. It was,
Just a yellow, whitish light.
yeah. The first one that I seen was like a red color, and it did have kind of some trails to it.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, no, you didn't. I caught you in time for the second one that went by, but both of them were so close by, or happened so quickly that there was really no way for me to tell you for the first one, like, hey man, like look, the second one, fortunately you were already looking kind of in that general direction, and you could tell from my body language. I was like, oh shit. There's
I think
something.
everybody could tell from the body language what something was going on.
There was something on the horizon. And the bad part is like we're in a group of like, I don't know, 15, 20 people out there. And I still think during that second one, you and I were the only ones that got to see it.
I think so, yeah.
That was pretty bizarre, but and given our relative closeness to Lockheed Martin, I wanted to take note of it. Like maybe they were doing some kind of exercise.
Yeah, I don't know.
It turns out that actually there were reports of lots of shooting stars on that same night. Not just from this area, though. I mean, I've heard stuff being talked about all across the country for shooting stars that night.
I didn't know that.
Well, like for Cliff, for sure told me about one, and the other people that I heard talking about it were in North Dakota. I want to say North Dakota. But yeah, they were actually, as a matter of fact, interestingly enough, they were sitting on their porch recording an episode of Fright Day, and they seen the light show.
Oh, that's cool.
But outside of the anomalies that we saw in the sky, we also we were invited into one of the homes there in the neighborhood to do an investigation for some activity that they experienced there. You'll get to see. Did you hear that? Sorry.
Nope.
Maybe I'm taking one headphone off, not because I think I'm trying to do something special, but because I want to see if I'm hearing this in the background. Anyway, so we did kind of, I'd say 3 small investigations all around while we were there in the neighborhood. We were invited into one home of one of the neighbors that were there for the readings that Jennifer did. Don't want to go into great detail. Maybe we'll do that on a different episode where we actually let you guys see and hear some of the evidence. But we also did a walkthrough of the neighborhood. Lee took us down a kind of her jogging route. So we walked down the road and then back up. We walked probably a good mile, I would say. And,
yeah, they're about.
And in that we had experiences that correlated with of things that Lee herself experiences on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, whenever we do go over the evidence, it probably would be a good idea to see if she would come on the show and let's try to hash through this with her as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we did that. Some eerie, not coincidences. What's the term that we should be using?
The word is escaping me now.
We'll just go with coincidences for right now.
Yeah, that's not the right word, but it's. I'll figure it out.
Synchronicities.
There, synchronicities. There you go. Good Lord, thank you.
Synchronicities. So some very strange synchronicities in what we were saying and what we were hearing as responses via the ghost box that Matt was listening to, almost halfway into an Estes method. It really wasn't an Estes or Estes method application there. It was more so about. It was more so like just noise canceling headphones. He did not have the blindfold on because we were walking around. And then lastly, we went to Lee's home and did some lightweight, what was it, low impact investigation.
Yep, I like that word.
Is what I'm going to coin what we did, because we didn't really have a whole lot of devices there. Simply what we could carry is what we used. And
But I'll tell you what, and I hope we can get that video and go through that, because whatever I did, that state that I put myself in, I use Estes is the blindfold thing, right? Where your senses are totally so. In that instance, I put myself in a very deep meditative state and was just listening to that. So nothing else was there. That one I'm really curious to hear, because I had no idea what you guys were talking about. I couldn't hear you at all.
well, there was
So curious.
there was some synchronicities in that investigation. I would even venture to say that there was more so a personal impact on what were the responses that we received during that one to Lee, who was uh, the member of the household there. So that was very interesting. So before we get into the news for the week or current events, so to speak, Matt, you've got a story that you want to share with me.
So originally I was going to call and just tell you this, but since it's Halloween and all that fun stuff, why not? So I am 100% convinced that one of two things happened in the last 3 or 4 months, and I could pinpoint an exact date if I talk to Chrissy, but I don't know the date offhand. But either I have died and this is a totally separate reality that I'm living, or I transferred to a new dimension, and I have 100% belief and proof of that for myself. Right. So there's a route I always take going to Noonan from my house. Right. It's a 45-minute drive. And I've done this drive we've lived in this house now 8 years. I've done that drive weekly or better for 8 years. There's always two burned down abandoned buildings. There's a old fire station, and then there's what looks like a church or like an old convenience store or something like that, right? Now between those two is a third building. It looks like a church or something. It's never been there. Never. Don't know where it came from. Signs are different. There's a road sign, not a road sign, billboard. It's been in the same place 10 years. It's gone. It's not there. Chrissy says it's never been there. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. There's never been a billboard in that cow field. I know for a fact there's been two. I can tell you what they used to say.
Okay, so you said that it's pretty strange because now that you bring that up, um, there Michael's account from our episode that we still haven't put out. He did talk to me briefly about this in person, but he had an experience out there that was really not. It really wasn't something that you could you really put your finger on what occurred, but it happened in that same area that you're talking about. So you say you have evidence. What evidence do you have?
I'm still going through, but I'm trying to find the picture because I've got a photograph of Maria once driving home with Chrissy. We took a picture of something. I'm trying to find it. It's on this laptop. I haven't been able to find it. I thought I could find it quick enough, but I haven't yet. But I'm looking for that photo that he has with that billboard. I know I have it, and it's driving me nuts.
So you think it's just a photo, a single photo, or no
There's
video?
yeah. I don't have any video of it because we were out doing photography one night. She had the kids out, and there's that field, right? That big open field, and you know, I'm talking about Villa Rica. They always do the fireworks and stuff there.
No.
Oh, okay.
The V
By the
Plex?
sports complex, yeah, right by that. There was
Okay.
you could see the sign from that.
So
It
you
was faint in the background, but you could find that photograph that she has.
so I suppose I'm confused about the area that you're talking about because I had this entirely different location in mind. I was thinking about on 166. There's
There's there too. There's that
I think I've lost you,
on
Matt.
you there.
You back? Yeah, you're
Okay.
back.
So that's where the building is there on 166 after that BP,
Hmm.
but board is actually between Carrollton and Villa Rica.
Right, 61 Highway or
Yeah, 61,
Carrollton.
whatever that is.
They
That highway.
it's called 61 by everyone around here. I think it's Carrollton Villarica Highway. Uh,
Yeah.
that's what it's known as via any kind of GPS or anything. Uh, well, dude, that I look forward to seeing this photograph that you got, and then we can go there and corroborate, like take some
I,
modern day pictures and find out what's going on there. Also, I wonder if those timelines line up with like CERN activity, the Large
so
Hadron Collider.
I
Uh,
looked it up. I looked it up because I was curious, and because that's what you said. And yes, that within that week frame that all of this happened, they did they turned it on. That's all I is it was turned on and active.
well, there's a lot of people that believe that the Mandela effect was triggered by uh, the activity at CERN, and how if you're not familiar with the Mandela effect in general, and you're just listening, there the thought is that Nelson Mandela passed away in the 90s, and people have memories of that,
I do.
and in our current state, like he passed away a couple of years ago. I say that without Googling it because, if it was subject to change once, it's subject to change again. So you may be
How
watching
about
this and say, no, he's still alive. He said, what
how
are you
about
talking
the
about?
one? How about the one that everybody remembers? Chrissy and I both have seen ads for it and remember it as kids. Do you remember? I think it was called Kazam with Sinbad. He was a genie.
Yes, yes, I
Okay,
remember that as well.
that movie never existed,
Um,
or maybe it did in this universe. I don't know, but
we don't know. It might
the
have
one I
just
came from, it
changed.
didn't. Right? It may have.
The only thing that's for sure is nothing's for sure.
Right?
Uh,
Ain't that the
um,
damn truth? Ugh.
but I mean, I think Big Red. There's something to do with Big Red gum as well, or no, it's the Kit Kat.
I
Kit
don't remember
Kat.
that one.
The logo for the Kit Kat used to have a dash in the center of it between Kit and Kat.
Yes, yes. It doesn't
No, it
really.
does not. No, it never existed.
I'm gonna have to check the candy today. Okay, because it looked like a broken piece of Kit Kat almost, like a smaller piece of the Kit Kat, if I
Yeah.
remember right. Yeah,
Um,
it's no shit. I didn't hear that one before.
it, it's. I mean, I've looked into it before. I don't want to dive too
Yeah,
deep
yeah,
into
yeah, yeah.
that.
No, 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 me neither. But
Uh,
now I'm just
but
thinking.
that may be what you're experiencing, this Mandela effect. Kind of, it would be
Absolutely.
interesting. It would be interesting to reach out to the local people and say, hey, does anybody else remember this? And especially if you have evidence of like this photograph, if we could,
I got
you
it. I'm
know,
looking.
we could reach out to our local community and see if anybody else is experiencing the same thing. Um, but I also wanted to talk today about our current events. There's been several new blogs posted over on fringetoast.com. If you guys are interested in going and checking them out and learning more about these stories, it would be greatly appreciated. We would appreciate you going over there. But the first thing is about this situation where a English-made robot, a robot that was built as an artificial intelligence to paint things, has been arrested in Egypt. Or he's not being detained at this time. I think he was actually detained for the robot was detained by the customs department and put into a human cell, Matt, um,
What
because
what
the
was it
the
painting exactly?
well, it was an artist. It made a sculpture, and was taking it to Egypt to put on display at an event there. And when he went through customs, the the border patrol or customs department was like, no, 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 you cannot go through. Your eyes are cameras, and you're going to use those cameras as spy technology. So they detained him, and they wanted to take his eyes out. They wanted him, yeah, they wanted to take or her eyes out. I think the robot has a name, and it was supposed to be feminine in nature, or feminine. I don't even know how to say this correctly.
Right? I don't know. So
Like
that's
her,
crazy. I mean,
they wanted to take her eyes, not its cameras, but her eyes. Um, so
where do you draw the line at that?
yeah, I don't know, but ultimately, the whole point of the artificial intelligence was supposed to be so she could see something and then render it as a painting in her
Ah,
with her own artificial intelligence. That was the whole basis for it. So taking her or taking its cameras away would inhibit its ability to do its job.
that wow. That if you really dive deep into that, that would be the equivalent of like taking an artist's eyes.
Yes.
Like if that's what its goal is it's but is it going realistic or artistic interpretation? Or is its goal to learn to be more artistic as it goes?
I mean, its
That's
goal is
crazy.
to become more artistic and to portray it in different, from an abstract painting to, I mean, anything. It just I
That's cool.
suppose it has moods, and
I
it
would right.
she
This
has
is
moods.
Sarah's blue period, right? I don't,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Just very bizarre thing.
That's crazy.
I thought it was noting. If you guys want to check out that again, fringetoast.com. I learned something new this week, Matt, as far as equipment that's used with paranormal investigating pretty often, and that's that thermal imaging technology can't really be used to detect cold spots. I'm not saying that thermal imaging doesn't have its place in paranormal investigating, because really the sky's the limit. If you can figure out a way to apply a specific piece of tech in a way that makes sense, then I say go for it. But
Absolutely.
what I've learned here is that really, because thermal imaging can't is it's designed to block out the temperature in which the air is.
Ah,
So you can't really use it to determine to see a cold spot.
that makes sense. Yeah.
if it did record the temperature of the air, then when the camera was turned on, you wouldn't be able to see anything
Yeah.
because it would be measuring the temperature of the air right in front of the lens. That would be all that it could sense, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I did put what I learned again at fringetoast.com. The next one you're going to be fond of, I think, because Trixie's there with you now. I hear her collar
Always.
going off. Is about a spirit sniffing pooch that's being used by a paranormal group in Manchester. Bond.
I did see that article.
So Bond is a greyhound, and they are, I think it's Paranormal Rescue is the name of the group out of Manchester, England, and essentially what they do is utilize Bond to detect the presence of an entity, and the theory there is that dogs have a heightened sense of smell, they have a heightened sense of vision, they have a heightened sense of hearing. They get to experience things on a spectrum that is far greater than the spectrum that we can perceive with our own senses.
Mm-hmm.
Which you and I have talked about the idea of of using canines in that way.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was pretty bizarre that someone actually has began to use that application.
I would love to talk to them about how it's going. That would be fascinating.
That would be fascinating. I have yet to find a website or a Facebook group or any way to contact these people. They're very hard to get in touch with. Like they don't have to, from what I can see, they're not active on social media at all.
That's weird.
I mean,
Everybody has social media.
I know. Like, how in the world are people reaching out to them to see if they can do investigating? Unless it's like a word of mouth kind of thing that gets passed around in Manchester,
Right?
there locally. That's the only way I could figure. But
I would think with your connections through the paranormal world you built on Facebook and Twitter, you would be able to find somebody who knows them.
like
Man, that's weird.
it's bizarre that I couldn't just search. I really haven't actively asked around. I
Yeah.
suppose that would be the next step, but
Okay, Tracy.
like nothing on Higgy Pop, which is a paranormal hub, so to speak, for the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing on there. Nothing on the website for the website where the original video was uploaded. There's like a TV show that this was that this team was featured on. There's nothing on there about how to contact them. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be contacted.
Maybe not.
The next
Or
one,
they're building their case of evidence and they're just waiting. That would be what I'd do. They'd put it out there and then just build the evidence and then go, okay,
here's everything.
yeah.
You make up your own mind. Next one up is creating tulpas is bad. Now, you and I have talked about the topic of tulpas along with Rachel from Metaphysical Roundtable on a couple of
Okay.
streams.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, this is a breakdown and a historical account of a historical account, and from a Buddhist monk who, or I don't think she's a monk. I'm not sure. She's the lady that wrote about this account. She had an experience where she spent days, months, weeks with this entity that she had generated. It was intended to be a monk, a fat, happy soul. And the more time she spent with it, the more it evolved into something more malicious. And so, yeah, it's pretty intense to read about. And I feel like there should be a movie made about it, really, because the story is so interesting. But the more modern account for tulpa, if you're not familiar with the idea, is like Slender Man or Momo or uh, Bloody Mary, ideas like that, things, concepts, and concepts of a character or entity that eventually that manifests from the belief in them. Some might even say that maybe Bigfoot is a tulpa, or the Loch Ness monster. The Loch
I
Ness
could see
monster.
that.
A lot of people believe that Aleister Crowley is the one that that manifested the Loch Ness monster originally, but over the decades, more and more people have believed and talked about it to the point to where it could become reality. But that's really it for this week. I do appreciate anybody. Do you have anything to add, Matt?
I don't. I'm just excited to be doing this again, man. We definitely do these more of the weekly live shit
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I would. I'm gonna keep doing this and trying to get out the stuff that our community that we're building is working on, and Fringe Toast and Metaphysical Roundtable, Fox Family Paranormal. Last week I talked about the event that they had at Cave Springs, which from what I understand they had a pretty good turnout for. So
Oh, awesome.
congratulations to them. Um, and there's a possibility we might get to work with them in the near future again. I'm excited about that. But until next time, my name is Bobby.
It's been a while.
Wait,
Come on.
oh, I can spit it out. It's not George Norrie and it ain't Coast to Coast, but I'm Bobby and that's Matt. And you've been served Fringe Toast.
Yay!
You guys take it easy. Have a wonderful Halloween. Y'all take it easy. Bye.
Yeah.